Welcome back to Red Devils TV, and I am Daniel, and we have got an amazing guest with us today in Andy of MUFC PUBcast. Now, I know we don't
MUFC?
MCFC. My bad, you see, that's the biggest insult I could give you. But no, I'm here with Andy, and obviously a Man City fan if you can't tell by his background. And let's just get right into a great preview. So, Andy, I'll ask you first, is there any injuries or updates you can give us on Man City?
There is a couple of niggles, but Pep expects them all to be back. The only one we'll be missing is De Bruyne. So we're in a position now where we've been lucky over the past few seasons with injury frees and stuff like that. However, this season we've been low in the barrel, should I say? But we've still won 7 out of 9, and not all the players are coming back now. So it's all good. So yeah, just KDB, but he's only, from what I'm hearing, about 2-3 weeks away as well. So beware, everybody.
Right, okay. Obviously, that's not good to hear, obviously, because I want to sit here. But no, Kevin De Bruyne, I'm going to just give him the credit that I think Kevin De Bruyne is your best player, which is a lot of people think Erling Haaland, a lot of people think like Ruben Diaz or Rodri. But I would say Kevin De Bruyne is miles class of all your other players. And does his injury record concern you? Because it does seem that he now gets injured every single season. He is out for a certain amount of period of time. So what are your thoughts on that with KDB?
A lot of truth in that, Dan. But he's just about to sign a new 2-year extension. So Pep mustn't be overly worried. Now, the good thing is the players what we've brought in, like Alvarez has been a sensation this season. He really, really has. Everyone was saying there's no way he'd be able to play as that number 10. His goals and assists this season alone are, proof that that's a nonsense. So if we keep performing like, because Foden can dip in there, Bernardo can dip in there, even Grealish can dip in there. So it'll prolong KDB's career, especially we won't have to burn him out with 60 games a season, which is, 50 odd games a season. But he's injured, the past 2 Champions League finals he's come off. Because of injuries and stuff like that. And we only found out after the last season's Champions League final that he'd been carrying a knock for like two months.
Wow.
So yeah, we're all right. We're in the right direction even without KDB.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, City's rotation is absolutely sensational. Obviously, every single team kind of wants to mould the Man City way. Obviously, brilliant players in every single position, and then you've got backups who are equally as good as the starting 11. Obviously, that's what makes City a very good team. Obviously, you mentioned Julian Alvarez, and I love telling this story because I remember I was doing a FIFA career mode and I was on Salford City and I was Gary Neville as the manager, and I scouted, this was like FIFA 20, and I scouted Julian Alvarez from River Plate, and I got playing with him, and then I ended up loving him, and I watched him in real life for River Plate because I had a dodgy fire stick, and I watched one of the games once, and I was like, you know what? I really like him. I want him to come to Man United. Anyway, when Ralph Rangnick was Man United's manager, he mentioned Julian Alvarez, and I was like,
that's right, yeah.
I was like, oh my God, my dream's going to come true. I love Julian Alvarez. What he's done for River Plate, it's been absolutely sensational signing. Anyway, Man City signing for, 14 million? And he's gone on to be an absolute world beater. I mean, I said to a very good friend of mine who's a City fan, and I said that Julian Alvarez will be the next Aguero, and Erling Haaland will probably bounce from club to club and just complete Europe. Now I probably doubt that because the Premier League is the best league in the world, and every single European team and player wants to be involved with England at this point now. So Erling Haaland might stay in England for his entire season. I'm not too sure.
Well, Dan, I've got some bad news for you.
Oh, there we go. Let's hear it.
Haaland's about to sign a new contract, mate.
Well, there you go then. I mean, Haaland's been shit this season, so...
Shit, he scored 9 Premier League goals and 2 in the Champions League.
Is that all? He had 18 last season, so, he's dropped off a little.
Never going to be replicated, that. And to be honest, there's a lot of City fans who are doing my absolute nappering, putting expectations on players like Haaland, like, oh, he has missed a lot, but strikers do. But he's always in the position to have an opportunity to score. So he's never going to listen. He might prove everyone wrong. He's not going to score another 50 odd goals this season. That's putting too much pressure on him. But regarding Alvarez, there was question not by the majority of City fans, by the way. There was question marks about him. Would he make it? Would he do it? But what people forgot, when he joined us, he didn't have a pre-season because he was playing in their league and stuff like that. So he came.
Their league goes from January to December, doesn't it?
Yeah. So he'd come straight from like winning something with them. He didn't get a break all the way through, and then he went to the World Cup. Obviously, won the World Cup. And he's had a little bit of a few weeks break, which is done in the world of good. And the proofs in the pudding. For the older ones, he reminds me a little bit his mannerisms of George Kinkladze, the way he little, his little shimmies and stuff like that. But because people was comparing him to a cross between Tevez and Aguero, there's only one Aguero. It's a nonsense really in being, and it's unfair on him to be compared to Aguero as well. I agree with who was it? Was it Dan?
I think it's Dean.
Simon.
Oh, Simon.
Yeah. One of the comments there, midfield for City is shaky. I sort of agree that we've sort of seen that when Rodri's been missing.
Yeah.
Which Rodri as well, he come back from a three match ban, mate, and he was like, he got booked for kicking the ball in the net, and then then he was arguing with the referee. I don't know. Our disciplinary this season's a bit funny because even Pep's had 3 bookings.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like we had 2 send-ins off so far this season.
Yeah, isn't Akanji suspended for this game because he got sent off in the last game?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. No,
and he's underrated, Akanji.
I think he's
well. Put him anywhere and he'll do a job anyway, whether it's left back, centre back, right back, inverted. And Pep said that because he's got that much intelligence. Pep's actually said you can tell Akanji to do something once, but I have to tell the other players the same thing like 2 and 3 times because it's something about Akanji because I don't. Is mathematics and stuff like that is it's like a photographic memory. If you say what's 2,874 times 8,000,1,600, he'll go straight away.
Yeah, I saw that on Sky. Is it Akanji the human calculator or something?
Yeah. So that must play a part, in his positional sense and what Pep does. And listen, for every KDB, for every Alvarez, you need somebody like an Akanji. Because you need, as my mate Stan says, you need different keys for different locks for different games.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Obviously, like KDB in a game where you need to create, obviously he's your man. If you need someone who's got physical dominance, then you use someone like Haaland or Diaz or Rodri. And obviously, if you need someone who's very fast and physical, you go for someone like Kyle Walker or Akanji, because Akanji's pace is very underrated. If you see him, I can't remember which game it was, but there was this game where City had a corner and then the team broke out on the counter-attack and Akanji just sprinted and caught up to the player. I can't remember what game it was, but...
Yeah, but he did well last season against Vinicius Jr., against Saka. It's one of them what goes under the radar. When we've got players like Guardiola, Diaz, etc., because they're big names and stuff like that, they get the focus. So I'm not too fussed about that. I'll let Akanji go under the radar every day of the week because people who watch him regularly know his worth in the team.
Yeah. Now, obviously, let's speak about Manchester United. Now, with Manchester United's updates, now Casemiro is also out for this game, which is a bit of a blow. But I did really like the way Amrabat played in our last game against Copenhagen. Now, there was a bit of a hole in the midfield against Copenhagen because Scott McTominay wasn't in the midfield. Now, I really like Scott McTominay, and I think he's a massive impact player. I don't think he's good enough for the starting 11, but I think that coming off the bench, obviously, saw what he can do against Brentford, where he scored them 2 goals in Fergie-time fashion. And McTominay, you see him for Scotland as well. He's always got an eye for goal, but for me, Scott McTominay is a massive impact player. But because we're missing Casemiro,
it's a yellow card waiting to happen.
Yeah, definitely.
So in a game like a derby, you'll need somebody like Amrabat, because I think even Casemiro could have been a bit of a time bomb for you.
Yeah.
For the emotion and stuff like that. So I don't see it as a problem. Listen, you could be miles out of form. We could be miles out of form. Anything can happen in a derby. It doesn't. If form does go out the window. I can't stand derbies. Can't stand them.
Yeah, because the thing is as well, obviously, they mean so much to the fans. They like even with international players, when they play in a derby, they know it's a different game than what they're used to. And if you look at our last 3 games under Erik Ten Hag and Pep Guardiola, obviously City have won the 2 and Man United won the 1, which was at Old Trafford. We won 2-1. You won 2-1 in the FA Cup final.
Got to talk about that victory.
Yeah, I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it all day. Bruno Fernandes and Rashford were clearly onside, as always. But no, City didn't turn up in that game at Old Trafford, and I think you can even admit that because Martinez was constantly on Haaland. We constantly man-marked De Bruyne, so they were your 2 best players at the time. They were the best in form. And United just completely took them out of the game. And obviously Jack Grealish scored that header from your corner. But I think that United got very lucky. It was a game that was meant for a draw, in my opinion, but United just got a lucky game. And obviously Rashford was in red-hot form at that point, scoring goals for fun. So I think that, obviously, like I said, it's a derby and situations like that can happen. It was a game that was meant for a draw, but United just got the win.
And, I just hope whoever wins, obviously I want City to win, but that whatever the result, there's no controversy like that because it's a big match. To be honest, it is a bigger match for the fans than it is for the players because there's not that many. Foden, Rashford, McTominay, they know what it's about. But will an Amrabat, will a Gvardiol really know what it's about? Haaland will know what because he's a City fan, Grealish. But then you look at some of our players like, will a Doku really know what it's all about? And it's not like a derby of years ago where you've got pretty much all Mancunians or, local lads coming through the academy playing a derby. So you see the blood and thunder. It's more like, a lot of the time now, it's more like a continental game, like a Champions League game, stop, pass, no thunderous tackles or anything.
Yeah, but the thing is, well, even with thunderous tackles, like even you get a yellow card if you show a little bit of aggression towards a player at this point now. The game has gone very soft, but it's all about being clever and stuff. And I do wish at times that referees would let bigger fouls go in massive derbies. And you look at the Merseyside derby last week, obviously Ashley Young, ex-United player, got sent off, and that Canate situation, Jurgen Klopp even said that he was lucky not to be sent off, and that's why he took him off straight away.
Did you hear the post-match when somebody asked Klopp, it was a dodgy decision, will the game be replayed?
Said something what was it?
Klopp was going mad.
Yeah, he said that why ask me something like this or something, like he got proper arsey about it. Are you drinking that 7-Up on purpose, by the way?
No, I thought 7-Up.
as long as you don't beat us 7-0, I'll be happy with that because Liverpool fans, they've kind of forgot about it now. Obviously, when that game comes about again, no doubt it'll start, we beat you 7-0 last time and stuff. But no.
Listen, football comes in cycles. I'm old enough to understand that. I had 34 years of just getting pelters from United fans. United fans used to get pelters off Liverpool fans. It's just football is a cycle. We're not going to be like this for the well. It depends how long I live, but I'm not going to see the big one is people like when Pep goes and stuff like that. Because you suffered when Fergie, left. You brought Moyes in, the chosen one. In hindsight, was that the right decision?
No.
And then you brought, was it
Van Gaal?
Was it Mourinho in, or was it Van Gaal? Was it?
It was Van Gaal, and then it was Louis Van Gaal, and then who was it after that? I can't remember. It's been that depressing over the last decade. I can't remember.
But I don't know how true it is. I heard from a very good friend of mine who's pretty connected at United, should I say. And there was after Mourinho from the get-go.
Yeah.
And Mourinho did not want to take over Fergie. He didn't want to be the next man to replace him because it's that poison chalice, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
It was also as well that United also tried getting Pep Guardiola to sign it, but it was literally just after he retired. He got left Bayern Munich, and that United tried getting Pep Guardiola, but then
he was
obviously
always coming to City, mate, because of
yeah.
Cheeky and Ferrano, who's a really good friends of there. It was just that a year sabbatical, what he wanted, but everybody within football knew that he was coming to City.
Yeah, and obviously, look what he's gone and done. Obviously, it's took him long enough to win a treble, but he's still done one of the greatest achievements in football history. Obviously, the Centurions, obviously winning it 3 times in a row, getting the treble. Yeah. They've practically done it all.
Fourth this season.
Well, maybe, but you can't win the quadruple because you lost to Newcastle. So, that's the only other one on the cards.
We can count it that because we won the Super Cup.
That doesn't count, mate. That doesn't count. Who did you play from the Europa League? It was some tin pot team.
But you've got to play whoever's in front of you.
That's how it is now, is it? That's how it is. It's always that for City fans because you probably argue with the best team in actually Europe. Like, excluding Real Madrid, you're probably up there being the best team in all of Europe. Like, you've got the best manager, you've got the best players, and obviously that's proof in the pudding from last season. Obviously, you're winning the treble, which is something that's not won every single season. Obviously, you do have like crazy seasons where Man City and Liverpool go like neck to neck throughout the entire season. That's what makes the Premier League amazing. You get a season like the Leicester season where obviously they have a massive one, but that was one in a million.
Freak season that.
Exactly. And I want to ask you about that. Do you think that a freak season could happen this season? Because a lot of teams have had very positive starts, like Spurs, your Brightons, Arsenal, obviously City. Are you worried to actually keep in the title? Is there any teams that are up and coming that are actually concerning you?
I back us to win the league, for obvious reasons. I don't fancy Arsenal to be challenging. I think Spurs have really impressed me. But the big test there will be when the African Cup of Nations, when they lose a few players, see how they deal with that. I think Son will be going as well for a few weeks. Villa have really impressed me so far this season. They've had a couple of freak results, but overall that they are a good steady team. I can see Liverpool will be the ones who push us the hardest, but even they don't look like the Liverpool what have challenged us before. And some City fans won't agree with me. I think we're actually a stronger squad than we was last season. People have been questioning us, but that's because we've had injuries and we've lost two on the bounce, which is like City don't lose 2 on the bounce. However, we still won 6 on the bounce at the start of the season, and 7 in 9. That's not too shabby, is it?
No, definitely not. And obviously with Man United, obviously we've actually not drawn a game yet. We've either won or lost every single game. And a lot of fans are with bigger fan channels, they've been saying that, it's just because of the injury crisis. But if you look at it, United were playing terrible in pre-season when we had all these fit players. We weren't playing well. And we think about it, we beat Arsenal 2-1 and then we lost every single other pre-season match, which doesn't give you confidence going into the game. And obviously that shaky win against Wolves, which should have been a penalty, I will admit that it should have been a penalty from on that Wolves player. Obviously we've lost to Arsenal, we've lost to Spurs, and it's been a kick in the teeth. Obviously Bayern Munich, Galatasaray in the Champions League. It's not been easy for United, and a lot of people are already doubting Erik Ten Hag, and I'm just there give him time because the cycle is repeating itself once again. Obviously, we've got the news with Sir Jim Ratcliffe apparently going to be appointing as a shareholder in Manchester United, as well as Paul, what's his name? Can't remember, but we're getting a new sports football director and all this jazz. Obviously, I don't really keep up to date with the sale process because I believe that everyone who reports about it actually doesn't know what's going on. They just recycle it.
They don't. You nailed it when you said about the big fan channels and stuff like that. All they are is aggregators, clickbait, and it always makes me laugh when a story will break by, say, the Fabrizio Romano, right? He'll break it, and then everybody jumps on the back of it, all the other journalists, and then Joe Public, not me, because I think Fabrizio talks out of his hoop sometimes, if I'm honest. And then you get people saying it must be true because all the journalists are saying it, but everyone's jumping on the back of one journalist and coming up with the same rubbish. Everyone said Jude Bellingham was done because Fabrizio said. There was a lot of foolish people.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, I think with Fabrizio Romano now, because he's like established himself as one of these like world best like journalists, he's got to be very careful with what he tweets because there's been a few times where he's like made an announcement, he's here we go, and he's been wrong about it, and then he gets ridiculed for it. And it's like I'd say probably Ben Jacobs, the journalist, is probably the best.
Ben's all right. Ben's all right
to keep up to date with all your latest United and City news, especially. But you're fucking Mark Ogden from the ESPN and like Laurie Litwell. I mean, I like Laurie. Laurie's actually like a very good one, I think. But
I know Oggy from his. I know Oggy.
Right, Oggy. I've seen him, and some of the stuff. I've met him once, and he was an absolute arsehole to me. So I don't like him. But
not just to you.
But I mean, Simon Davis here has said this, that Erik Ten Hag's the man for United, back him, and I'm a blue. Well, there you go then. So we have a blue in the comments, and you know what, Andy, I'll ask you, Erik Ten Hag, what do you make of him? Do you think he's out of his depth, or do you think he's actually like up and coming and promising?
I thought up until he came out and with. By the way, Sancho, what I'll say about Sancho, one of the first things Pep did when he came to City was boot Sancho out because he's trouble.
Yeah.
And that is well known. However, big signing for United, 80 odd million?
Something like that.
Ten Hag. Now, whether Sancho has got mental health issues or not, Ten Hag should not come out and say anything about his mental health because straight away he's put huge focus not only on United, Ten Hag, but more importantly, Sancho. If the lad, I'm not a fan of Sancho. I don't profess to be a fan of Sancho, but what I will say is, if somebody's genuinely got mental health issues, that needs sorting out in-house in the club.
Yeah.
And I think Ten Hag lost a bit. And from the outside looking in, Dan, I think he lost a lot of respect, not just within football, but within United by basically outing a player. Especially because if Sancho has got mental health, Sancho came out and pretty much snapped straight away, didn't he, saying, I'm training well and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So maybe he has got mental health because anybody in a sane mind I'd just go, I'll just bite my tongue, I'll be professional. But for the way he came out and retaliated, and Ten Hag's just gone, shh. And yeah, you've got to have discipline in a club. And Pep's one for that. We've seen what he did with Cancelo in January. Listen, get out, get to Bayern Munich, and that's when we was a little bit short on the left. However, there's got to be. We was doing okay at the time. Now, United are not brilliant by any stretch of the imagination now. I think you've got to be a bit professional as a manager and say, something, we have got our issues. However, we know Sancho, we know what Sancho can do. We need an extra body in there. If we need to bring him on as a sub, gradually bring him in because the attitude would all change. Because I think Sancho's got the players backing, if I'm honest, from the outside looking in.
Maybe. And the way I see it is that Erik Ten Hag has every right to call out a player. I mean, he was asked a question by a journalist about why was Sancho not in the squad. And Erik Ten Hag could have lied and said, he's got an illness, this, and this. Because that seems to be a bit of a late trend when a manager doesn't want to say something, we've just got a bit of an illness or we've got a bit of an injury to cover an injury or to cover a backroom issue. But Erik Ten Hag called him out, and I see Erik Ten Hag being a very methodical man and manager. The way he likes to approach his style in games is a very strict and stubborn man, and that it costs us in games like this, like his favourites and the substitutions and stuff. It is seen like his personality. It does kind of come into effect, and sometimes you do need to take a step back and realise that look, I need to take a step back here and think of the backlash. But
Sancho could save Ten Hag's job.
Maybe.
You know, if he played him and he's performing, he could save Ten Hag's job. Ten Hag could lose his job by being stubborn.
Exactly.
Listen, none of us know what goes on behind the scenes, and I say this to City fans every day of the week when they, you know, all the daft rumours and stuff like that. It's like, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. There might be a huge issue, or the manager or the player might have ulterior motives where they want to engineer a move away for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But there's got to be a little bit of middle ground where you think there's a bit of truth somewhere. There's no smoke without fire.
Exactly. I completely agree with you, Andy. And with the situation with Sancho, is that Erik Ten Hag inherited a lot of these players. Not a lot of these players are Erik Ten Hag's players, but, you know, Erik Ten Hag has got some signings this season. You know, this is his first season where, you know, the players who have been there have kind of got used to his system now. He's now bringing more players into his mold, and I think we've gotten worse. You know, I do back Andre Onana, and I do think that he's going to get better with the confidence, but the guy is 27. He's not a young keeper. Now, I know keepers normally last till about 30, about mid-30s, so it is, you could probably say, about 8 or 9 years of Onana if he does turn out to be good. But 27 for a goalkeeper, and the amount of money we spent on him, I've said it from day one that I said it in the summer that I would much rather kept David De Gea and spent the 100 million on Harry Kane or Victor Osimhen and not get Rasmus Højlund. I love Rasmus Højlund, and I think he's a great upcoming prospect. But the fact is, you've got to look at it, that Manchester United paid £70 million for Rasmus Højlund when there was no other teams pushing for his signature. And you've got teams like Bayern Munich coming after Kim Min-jae and Harry Kane. You've got last season with Cody Gakpo and Darwin Núñez going to Liverpool, 2 of United's targets as well. You've got, I think you've got to look at the signings he's made, and they're not cutting out at the moment. And obviously, I give every single signing time, but I only give him 3 years. I only give my team 3 years, because if you've not made it within the 3 years, you're gone, in my opinion, because you've had
You're right, Dan, because with new players what come into City, in my head, and I tell people this, write them off for 1 season until they get you. Listen, joking aside and stuff like that, Manchester United is a huge organisation. It's a huge football club. That can be daunting for a player straight away. People coming to play for Pep Guardiola, that's daunting on its own. So there's got to be that period of, listen, he needs to settle in. We saw it with Raheem Sterling on, you know, first season Pep come. He was, well, the first season he joined us, Raheem didn't set the world on fire. Pep started getting his methods, and City fans, for whatever reason, with Sterling, they're like, Sterling, up until Haaland coming in, was, I think it was a second or third best, you know, stats under Pep Guardiola for goal scoring and assists and stuff like that. So people can be a little bit player blind. It's like Grealish was the same. Everyone's going on about, there's this big Doku versus Grealish thing with City fans at the minute, mate, with overseas fans. It's driving me absolutely. You've probably seen me rants on Twitter and stuff like that, mate. It's really doing me head in. How about we've got 2 different players what play 2 different styles, which is good. Grealish, we saw it. Who was it against? Was it against Brighton? Brighton got it back to 2-1. Doku was still on. Doku had a decent 50 minutes, and you could see then that the ball was bouncing off him. He was losing the ball, and it was he goes past players and stuff like that. Yeah, but Grealish had ball retention. People say, "Oh, Grealish, all he does is pass backwards." No, he retains the ball and he brings others in play. Grealish will bomb back and he'll defend. Different player than Doku. Doku's more offensive. However, everyone thinks Doku's the new Messi. He's not. He needs a bit of time. He's 21 years of age. He's coming to the toughest league in the world. He's playing for the current best manager in the world. The pressure on a 21-year-old, and let's not forget, for his previous club as well, he didn't play as many minutes as people thought. Yeah. So you've got to give players time to settle in, because otherwise you'll end up with a Calvin Phillips if you get on their back, where they're not given a chance to bed in the club. When you compare somebody like Calvin Phillips to Rodri, you can't compare any CDM in world football to Rodri, and we saw that with Kovacic, mate. When Kovacic joined us early in the season, playing at the side of Rodri, honestly, seamless, brilliant. Rodri got 3-game suspension, and City fans are like, don't know about this Kovacic now, They're trying to compare him to the world's best CDM.
Yeah.
Now Rodri's back. Kovacic is looking decent again. So it's a lot of people, fans across, up and down the world, probably, mate.
They're very reactionary.
It's proper knee-jerk.
Exactly. And obviously, I like to claim on my YouTube that we're the realist fan channel on YouTube, where we don't have any agenda and we just speak what's going on. If you have an agenda, then obviously come on down and have your say. Obviously, Red Devils TV is always open to any fan who wants to speak about Manchester United, because obviously we're all about the fans. But at the end of the day, like Harry Maguire, I mean, the United stand, I love watching their content, but they have massive agendas with Harry Maguire, Scott McTominay, and other players. And I'm like, right now, Harry Maguire...
Big fan channels, that's all they're bothered about.
You said it, not me. But with the situation with Harry Maguire, arguably he's been our best player over the last 3 games. And I hardly see anyone on the big fan channels giving him credit that he deserves.
You won't, mate.
Exactly. And I find it very frustrating, in my opinion. I find it very, very frustrating, because Harry Maguire, for me, needs to start against Man City. Now, people will be like, oh, what you're on about? He's going to get absolutely dominated by Alvarez, going to get dominated by Erling Haaland. But if United keep the ball, like, you see Harry Maguire at his best when he's not being pressed. Now, City, they don't really press as you expect them to. The City that I've seen this season are very calm and patient. And once you fuck up, they will then punish you, and then you've got the issue.
It's like a cat playing with a mouse.
Exactly. And I really like the way City play, because if they want to keep the ball for 80 minutes and win 1-0, they'll do it. The City game plan is near to none perfect every single game. Obviously, the Rodri suspension, that's why you lost to Wolves. The Nottingham Forest situation, obviously you still won, but you were dominant for that first half. And when Rodri got sent off, it all went to shit, and you had to
which was stupid, because Forest knew they was kicking us up and down. Forest knew if we'd have carried on with 11 men, they'd have been on the end of a proper hiding, proper hiding.
Exactly. So obviously it got scrappy, and certain teams like Forest will do that. And I want to do a bit of a segment now, obviously, combined 11. Now, based on current form, would you have... Actually, we'll start off, obviously, goalkeeper. Now, Ederson this season, I do like, in every single season, like, I've always put David De Gea over Ederson. I always think David De Gea has been the better goalkeeper naturally. Ederson's distribution is probably the best in the world. His distribution is absolutely incredible, but there's been many mistakes from Ederson. Obviously, you think back to the Scott McTominay goal from 40 yards out, when Ederson was completely out of his area, threw the ball, and Scott McTominay intercepted it, scores from 40 yards. Obviously, you've got that time where he clattered, was it John Stones or someone, where he got clattered off. Ederson has made a lot of mistakes in his past, and he does, I do think he has a mistake in him. Like long shots, I think back to the derby at the Etihad last season, where Antony scored that goal from on the edge of the box and just curls it into it, and Ederson couldn't do anything about it. But at the end of the day, Ederson is better than Onana, I'm going to have to say.
What I will say about Ederson is shot stopping has always been questionable within City fans. However, second half of last season, something switched in Ederson. His shot stopping, because the ratio was basically if you shot at Ederson, you'd score. Something changed, and we saw that in the Champions League final. At the back end of it, where he was pulling saves off. But it wasn't just that; it was the second half of the season. Ederson has matured. Listen, like you said, his distribution is second to none. His shot stopping now is way, way better than it ever was.
Yeah,
he's more complete keeper now, and he's at the moment he's in the Brazil team ahead of Alisson, who was the blue ad boy.
I know, I've seen that, and obviously with Ederson, obviously that's why I've put him over Onana. Onana's still adapting to the league. I do think Onana's distribution is really good. Obviously, you can see it when he's hitting them long balls to Rashford, when he's like, dribbling past the pressing players in the opposition. He's a very cocky goalkeeper, and I do love him. But again, before the Copenhagen game, so many people put him as the flop of the season, but he'll have a game where he keeps a clean sheet and no one gives him praise. But it's only when you've got a situation like against Copenhagen where he's literally saving the last kick of the game and we're keeping us all 3 points. Everyone loves Onana in the fan base at the moment now because, again, like I said before, certain fans are so reactionary. I love Onana.
Do you know who's to blame?
Go on.
Big fan channels. We see it with Calvin Phillips. We've seen it with Harry Maguire within the big United fan channels. You're seeing it with Onana with the big United fan channels. Smaller fan channels, mate, do the quality rather than the quantity. I don't know if you ever watched any of ours. Even in defeat, we have a laugh. We have a proper giggle, mate. It's got to be like that. There's got to be, you was right in what you said before. A lot of them have got agendas where they want the clicks. Whereas me on mine, I just do it for shits and giggles, mate. Just for if I can make if I get 10 people watching and 10 people enjoy it, or even one enjoy it, happy days, mate.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Obviously, you could say the smaller channels are humble in that sense. Obviously, we've stuck to our roots and we love what we do. And obviously this started off as a hobby of mine.
Yep.
And, I just love meeting United fans outside Old Trafford, just having a chat with them and stuff. And it's just great because, again, I love football and that's why I made my channel, just to, get my opinion out there, get other fans onto my channel who also want to share theirs, which is, I think, a brilliant thing because it makes us all united. You could say, obviously, you might not want to think that, but it is the truth.
No, I won't choose that word. But, mate, I will say there's enough room in internet land for everybody. Yeah, and you'll have your loyal subscribers and stuff like that. Who'll even if they can't watch it, say live, you just know they're gonna download it.
Yeah, definitely.
Afterwards. So never, and you're right. Never change your roots or anything like that. Stick with what your beliefs are, and you'll get the rewards, mate.
Yeah, I completely agree. And obviously, this is a massive shout out to every single person who follows me and Andy's channel. You're all absolute legends. But let's get back into the combined 11, obviously. I'm going for Ederson as my goalkeeper in the combined 11. Obviously, I'm going to guess you are as well.
Yeah.
Now, we will base this on current performances and current suspensions and injuries. So, obviously, the players that aren't available. So, Kyle Walker versus Diogo Dalot. Now, Kyle Walker, again, I say that he's probably one of the best English right backs we've ever seen in the world. Yep. He's in our history, you could say. I think Kyle Walker is absolutely sensational, and he was at Spurs for a long period of time in his career. But I see him as a City player now. I don't you get them players that have been at a club for a long time and then they go to a bigger club to try and win some trophies. But Kyle Walker, I don't think if he's been a Spurs player, I see him as a bred and established Man City player. But for me, Diogo Dalot has gotten a lot better, but he's no Kyle Walker is all I have to say. What are your thoughts?
If anything, mate, Kyle Walker is probably started off this season the best. He's been with us, 7 years now? It's probably the best I've seen him play because he's a lot of the season so far. He's been playing pretty much on his own because of injuries and stuff like that. So he's been doing like up and down, up and down, up and down. Whereas now we've got players back. Kyle Walker don't need to do as much as he needs to do, and he will only listen. He's been his colleagues have named him as the manager. You never know, as the captain. That doesn't happen if the player's not going to be in the team pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
and if they don't rate him.
Who is your captain? Is your club captain De Bruyne?
There's three: Kyle Walker, De Bruyne, and I think it's Diaz.
Diaz. No worries.
Kyle Walker at the moment's got the armband because he is one of the club captains, and he is showing that maturity and stuff like that now. Apart from when he's out on town and he's getting his whopper out and stuff, on the pitch is all right.
That made me laugh. Yeah, Kyle Walker, no question asked, and I think that he's, like you said, he's probably been one of your best players this season. But defence, centre backs. Now, I am going to throw in Harry Maguire based on current form. I do think that Harry Maguire is a very underrated player, and obviously Kanje is suspended. So I think that my choice would be Maguire and Diaz, but obviously I'll let you say yours.
I can't look past. Well, depends where we're putting John Stones. Are we putting him in defence or are we putting him in midfield?
That's up to you.
Well, I'll put Stones in midfield, but I'll put Gvardiol at the side of Diaz or Ake.
Okay, that's fine. So, who are you choosing? You choosing Diaz or Ake?
Diaz. On the right side of the centre backs.
Okay, and what Gvardiol on the left?
Mm-hmm.
So, who's your left back?
Left back. Do we really play with a left back? I'll put Ake there.
You put Ake. Now, I don't think how many games has Ake played this season? Because I don't think last time I checked, he's not played for, was it 2 games or 3 games now?
He played in midweek. Ake's quality, mate. And
I know Ake's quality.
His mentality, when we had Laporte, Ake was more or less a sub all season.
Yeah.
Laporte got an injury, and Ake, his mentality was like, that's my shirt now. That is my shirt. That kind of mentality. I'm playing. That is my shirt. Whereas Cancelo just kicked up fuss. Oh, I'm not in the team. Oh, I want to move. Gone. Yeah. Whereas Ake's mentality is first class. He's somebody you'll want in the bunker with.
Definitely. I mean, I remember when Bournemouth went down, and I said to my granddad, who was a massive Red and he has been for the last 73 years. And I said to him, and he agreed with me. And we've always appreciated Ake when he was at Bournemouth. And we said that when Bournemouth went down, Ake is a steal waiting to happen in the Championship. Like James Maddison has been for Spurs, obviously an absolute steal for a Championship team. And I just think that whoever got Ake was going to have an absolute...
We nearly sold him, mate, to Newcastle. And Chelsea was sniffing around him as well, but for whatever reason, he stuck around, and his mentality is unbelievable.
Definitely, and I think Ake is obviously. I mean, he partners with Van Dijk in the Netherlands team, doesn't he, in the World Cup or Nationals? So, I would put Luke Shaw in over Ake if he was fit, but I can't disagree with you. I would go for Ake as my left back as well, but. My back line will consist of Walker, Diaz, Maguire, and Ake. I do like Gvardiol. I do think that is a massive name, obviously a massive up-and-coming centre-back. But that's the issue here. I see him playing out on the left. I see him playing in the middle. I don't fit a bit like Foden. Doesn't have an established position yet. Obviously, he can do a job in different positions, but right now, I just haven't seen enough of him yet. Obviously, I saw
you've not done bad there. To be fair, you've only got one wrong.
There you go, then. Because the thing is, as well, is that like last season, I probably could have argued a few more United players, but this season, with our current form, it is very hard arguing what might be the situation. I mean, United has been atrocious, so no doubt it will be majority City players. But midfield now, I will obviously go Rodri. I mean, I do think he's the best midfielder or defensive midfielder in the world. Last season, I would compare him to Casemiro because I didn't think that Casemiro was a brilliant player, but again, this season he's also out injured. I just think that Rodri just goes in now, and I think Rodri as well. The fact that I think is he in the top 3 or top 5 shortlist for Ballon d'Or? Is it because like with his?
He won't get it. Messi will get the sentimental vote, mate.
Definitely. I mean, just out of curiosity, and obviously there's people for the comments who are watching, who would you give the Ballon d'Or to? Because obviously Erling Haaland scored 50 plus goals, but Messi had a bit of an underwhelming season for PSG, but did win the World Cup, the established World Cup. So who do you think deserves it?
Messi won't get in my top 4. This sounds very, very biased. Haaland, Rodri, I couldn't split them, but nobody is voting for somebody called Julian Alvarez. Julian Alvarez
won it all.
He's won the World Cup, played well in the World Cup, scored 4 goals in the World Cup. He's won the treble, and he's not even in the mentions. And it is staggering, mate. You know, it's just sentimental because let's face it, it's Messi's last season.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Yeah. And what do you think about Pep Guardiola? Because he turned around and said in a press conference where he said that Messi's worst season is better than everyone else's season, saying that there should be a separate trophy for Messi because of how brilliant he is.
No, Pep, it's like his son, and Pep absolutely loves Messi. So, and Pep does a lot of playing with the media as well.
Yeah, he is. I do like the way Pep talks to the media at times. He is funny. But midfield is mine is Rodri. I still throw in Bruno Fernandes, but I also will throw in Stones, as I'll go for a double pivot in the midfield with Rodri and Stones, and I will throw in Bruno Fernandes as my playmaker due to Kevin De Bruyne being out. I was thinking Kovacic, but I just think that like Foden, I always thought he was going to be a number 10, a central attacking midfielder, but he's been more of a winger for Pep Guardiola in his career. So I know he can play in the middle, but I always see him either playing on the left wing or right wing at times. And I just think that Foden's a very surprising one because like 2-3 years ago, everyone was talking about Foden like he was going to be what we're talking about Bellingham now. But
he still will be. He still will be, mate.
Yeah, I still think that Foden's probably one of our best English players. The experience he's got in Europe, for England national team, and he's only like 23, 24?
23, and his trophy cabinet at home is bursting, and it's not his trophies are not where he's picked one up because he's played 5 substitute appearances in a season. He's played a huge part in every single one of them. Listen, Foden, without doubt, is generational. A bit like your Gazas and stuff like that. It's generational. Yeah. There is, I will say, overseas City fans doubting Foden. They just need to be careful because Foden is unbelievable, mate. There's been games where he's carried us. You know, and for a 23-year-old to be carrying, seasoned pros, mind you, he is a seasoned pro now because he's been, in the team for that long. But you can put Foden anywhere.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but I've said my midfield three. It is going to be Rodri, Stones, and Bruno Fernandes. I know Bruno Fernandes hasn't been playing the best, but I just think that if he has just one moment of brilliance where he can cut a defence with his brilliant passing ability, as well as obviously he has also got a goal, an eye for goal. I mean, I remember doing a video that since Bruno Fernandes has joined Manchester United, only him and Lionel Messi have got 50 plus goals and 50 plus assists. This was about 4 months ago. And obviously Kevin De Bruyne did end up finishing that tally. I think it was 2 games before the Champions League final. But Bruno Fernandes, since he joined Manchester United, has been absolutely incredible. But this season he's still been underwhelming. But I still think that there's an amazing player there. But a lot of fans, again, question Bruno Fernandes. I mean, I got into a debate last night with a fan about who's better out of Bruno and Eriksen. Now, obviously, as an outsider's perspective, who would you go for out of Eriksen and Bruno? I think Eriksen's better playmaker, but as an all-round player, Bruno I feel sorry for because if the gaffer tells him he's playing on right wing, left back, centre back, he'll do there and play a shift. And we all know Bruno is best as that number 10, as that creative player, but he's also got the poacher's instincts where he does score goals. Yes, he's a bit petulant. Yes, he does moan, but that's what makes Bruno Bruno. But I'll let you.
Dan is horrible, honestly. He's one of them players what you'll like if he plays for you.
Yeah.
An opposition fan. Bellamy used to get that. Bellamy, I used to absolutely hate Bellamy. When he joined us, wow. You sort of like got it, you really got, what he was about. But when two things, never argue, and this is for arguments you get into, never argue with an idiot because they'll just beat you with experience, mate. All the stupidity. And another question I would ask them, who would you play when they say who would you play, Eriksen or Bruno? I'd say what game? going to say, what do you mean, what game? Like I said earlier at the start of the show, different keys for different locks, mate. You need different players to do different things against different opposition. So it's not like the old days where you used to have 11 set players and you know that 11 players will be playing pretty much all the time. Doesn't work that way anymore, mate.
Yeah. I agree with you, but what would your midfield three be?
My midfield three would be Rodri. I would have Foden in there and Bernardo.
Okay, I mean, I did forget about Bernardo. I'll be honest with that, but yeah, that I'm going to stick with my midfield three. But let's obviously go to the wingers now. Again, I know I said, but based on current form, but I think it's a clean slate for City. I would play Alvarez.
In fact, I'm going to change.
Go on.
Instead of Foden in midfield, I'm going to have to take him back out, mate, and put Alvarez in midfield.
You see, I was going to put.
He's been playing as a number 10.
Yeah, because I was going to put Alvarez as my left winger because I know he also plays there at times for years, like as that inverted winger. But I know in the last few games he has been playing as that number 10. But
all season he has played. All season he's been playing as that. Yeah.
Well, there you go. And so I am going to fit Alvarez in my team by putting him on the left wing because I've just got to have my Bruno Fernandes in. I mean, like you said, you can't stand him, and probably every single rival fan can't stand him.
And by the way, I'm not putting him in because I can't stand him. If I thought, you know, something, he deserves to be in there ahead of whatever player, I'd put him in there. I won't let my biasness affect my head, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Obviously, I like the honesty. And yeah, my front three, it would be Alvarez on the left, Haaland through the middle. I do really like Rasmus Højlund, but apart from the Champions League, that's the only competition he's outscored Haaland in right now. And as well as, obviously, Doku. I think he's absolutely tearing it. Actually, no, I'm putting Foden on the right wing, actually. I like Doku. I think he's done really well adapting to the league, but I will put Foden on the right wing.
That's where he's going with me. That's why I took him out of centre midfield to put him on there. Grealish on the left, Haaland up front. But I will say, I do think there's a player there in Højlund.
Yeah,
I think you've got I think you've got something there. I really, really do. Whether he goes on to fulfill his potential, I think that depends on how he's managed, but there's definitely something there with him.
Yeah, I agree. And obviously, what does my head in is that we were originally offered 40 million for Atalanta for him, and they wanted 42 million or something. They just wanted that little bit more. Anyway, United said no, went on and pursued Mason Mount Onana, then we went in for him right at the end of the transfer window. 72 million he cost us. And I'm just there like, that 30 million that we could have saved.
That's mismanagement, that, mate.
Yeah, obviously that's just obviously the Glazers though, and obviously the way we're run as a football club. Erik Ten Hag wanted every single player before pre-season, but yet again another manager let down by the Glazers. But I do hope under Sir Jim Ratcliffe it does get a lot better because, again, I will be open to my viewers that I've always promoted Qatar. I didn't want Qatar to be owned, obviously. There was rumours about the state ownership, but that's the way football's become now, obviously. You do need to have supreme wealth to compete, and that's obviously the sad thing to football. But, you know, the reason why I also promoted Qatar wasn't just for the wealth. It was also because it was 100% sale of the club. I didn't want the Glazers involved with the club at all. I've been to the majority of the protests for a strict reason. Because
you was one of the 12, was you?
Yeah, I was actually. I was one of the 12.
But if I was a United fan, I'd want the Qataris every day of the week to get you. It's not just on the pitch. It's well documented now, even with United fans and stuff like that. You know the way Carrington is. You know it's aged. Old Trafford. You know you need an umbrella to sit down and watch a game. You know because the roof's leaking and stuff. That's not Manchester United Football Club that I grew up hating. That was it's totally different now.
Exactly. And obviously I'm going to back Sir Jim. Like the reason why I didn't want Sir Jim, because again, he is keeping the Glazers in power. Obviously, he's buying 25% of their shares, and eventually he is planning on buying them out. But that's going to be over a 5 to 7 year process, which is what's being rumored. But again, like I said, I take every bit of news with a pinch of salt because no one knows what's going on, in my opinion. And once I see Sir Jim Ratcliffe outside Old Trafford announcing that he's now the sporting director of Manchester United, that's when I'll believe it. I'll believe it when I see it, because like
do you know why the Glazers won't sell? In my opinion, I could be way off the mark.
I'll hear it, yeah.
Because there's going to be the blanket coverage of 3 o'clock is going to go. And
what do you mean?
3 o'clock, you'll get 3 o'clock kickoffs on a Saturday.
Oh, okay.
That's going to happen. So the Glazers are thinking, okay, then if I sell now, they're potentially going to lose a lot of money, because people, City fans or whoever, like it or not, all around the world, and even in the UK, where you can't watch it legitimately through a Sky or whoever, you've got huge following of United, huge following of Liverpool, City now. So they're going to get the biggest piece of the pie. Yeah. So if the Glazers sold now, they're going to lose out on all that revenue. They're sitting tight until they see what they can get out of these TV deals, because Sky won't be the same as you know it. TNT Sport and all these channels, because that pie will be spread out, and fans they'll be able to subscribe, get the season ticket, and watch it, not on a dodgy stream or anything like that. They'll be able to watch it as it is, as if it was a 4:30 kickoff or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
so that's why they're sitting tight, mate.
I've never heard of that thought before, so obviously that's very interesting. I'll keep that with an open mind, and again, I will always say the Glazers are greedy bastards, and obviously they will want probably the biggest piece of the pie, like you referred to. But with going back to the Manchester derby, now I'll ask you for your score predictions. I've said 3-2 Man City. Now I believe this is how the game's going to plan out. I think Man City are going to come at us early and want to score early, because as we know, United's heads do drop when we concede early. Look at the Nottingham Forest game. We went down 2-0 within the first 5 minutes. Yes, we fought back and made it 3-2, but that was a game that probably won't happen every single day, especially against a team like Man City. Look how long it took us to get back into the game in the FA Cup final. I mean, that just speaks for itself. But I have said 3-2 Man City, because I believe that is going to be a lot like the Bayern Munich game earlier this season, where City go 2-0 up, they then start passing it around and stuff. They'll make a mistake. It'll be 2-1. United then go 2-2. We get a bit of momentum, but then City win it within the 70th or 80th minute, and then you see out the game. And that's the way I see the game going. And then United get a bit too comfortable. And that's
you're on a day, mate, because I don't, especially on derbies, I don't do predictions. However, okay. I will for the benefit of your show, mate, and I'm going to kick myself here. I'm going to go for 3-1 City.
3-1 City. Okay. Now, again, both got 3 goals, and obviously you said you don't do predictions, but I'm going to try and push and get a bit more out of you. Scorers, please.
Scorers: Haaland, Rodri, and Haaland again.
Okay, Haaland with a brace. I mean, as long as Højlund... I mean, here's a question for obviously. You give Højlund a bit of respect before, and this obviously is the last question before we go. We've been recording for nearly an hour, and obviously it's 9 o'clock now, so you probably want to get to bed yourself.
I am not that old, you know.
I'm not saying that. When am I invited to your 21st birthday, by the way? I'm looking forward to it. But with obviously you gave Rasmus Højlund a bit of credit before. Now, with Rasmus, he came out and was asked about what is his thoughts of being compared to Erling Haaland. He obviously said that he wants nothing to do with it. He's a sensational player, and I'm just trying to build my own career. Do you respect that type of mentality that Højlund shows?
Absolutely, mate. And it bugs me when, is the next this, is the next that, is the next this. Is Rasmus Højlund in his own right? And if you think about it, mate, people was comparing Calvin Phillips to Rodri because he's going to be filling in that position. you've got to let each player be whoever they are, whether it's Marcus Rashford, whether it's Jack Grealish or whoever. We've got it at the moment. People are comparing Doku to Jack Grealish.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of unrest in the City fan base at the minute, mate, with this comparison. Jack Grealish can do things what Doku can't. Doku can do things what Jack Grealish can't. Just let him fulfill the potential. As I say, you've got something with Højlund. He looks as if he could be the real deal. Although he only scored, was it 9 goals for Atlanta?
Yeah, but again, that was only in I think it was in 16 games. He scored 9 goals in, and they were like 60, 70-minute cameos. They weren't even full 90 minutes. So if you actually looked at the minutes played, I think it was I can't remember. I think it was like just under 1,000 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're looking at like nearly a goal every 100 minutes, like technically.
And you might not think it, but he's actually playing with better players now, so he'll get more opportunities. So,
definitely.
Atlanta are not exactly an AC Milan and Inter Milan and Juventus, are they? So he will get his chances, and he looks as if he knows where the back of the net is.
Definitely. I mean, obviously, I'm looking forward to seeing the potential of Rasmus, because I think it's been a long time since Manchester United have had a young, hungry striker for once. And obviously, United in previous times, we've had our Cavani's, Vegas, Stigalo, Ronaldo, you name it. United have had an aging striker for so many years now, and we've not had a striker like this.
He's a number 9. He's a proper number 9.
Definitely. And I love Rasmus. And I think that, even though I said before that, I would have loved to sign Harry Kane or Victor Osimhen, I do still believe that Rasmus Højlund will become a brilliant player for us. That's this one. Is that Rasmus?
Yeah.
It's
one I did for somebody. I had a smudge on it, so it's a test one. I did it for that mug there. I personalised for somebody, and I sent it. I reproduced it for him. Okay. The message on the back, it translates to basically, Rasmus Højlund dreamt of playing for United, and it went on to say, "You carry on doing what you are, son, and your dream will come true as well, playing for Manchester United." Wow. From a Danish, I'm sure he's a Danish United fan.
Okay, well, is that like a side business that you have? If you want to, you can promote it right here.
Yeah, it's an online print in savageonlinestore.co.uk. It's not just a City store. I do it. It's a business, so you don't have a City hat on, a United hat on, or whatever. A business is a business. But it just shows you the effect. The reason why I'm showing you that mug is because the affection what Højlund's got in his in his country and stuff like that, and people look up to him even though he's only a young lad. So for somebody to have that so much potential, but let's not compare him to Haaland at this moment, because you're comparing oranges to apples.
Yeah. I completely agree with you, mate, and obviously I really appreciate this. That was the first time we've had like this type of like talk and stuff, and obviously I've really enjoyed it. Obviously, Simon Davis as well. Thank you so much for all your comments this evening, and said that I'd start Garnacho in the derby if I was Erik Ten Hag. Now,
will he be banned?
That's the thing. Obviously, Garnacho ban. That's obviously like the thing is, right, is that I look at it and obviously, yes, it is seen as a racist remark with what he made, but Onana's come out and even said that he understood what Garnacho was trying to say. And I think it would be very stupid if he was to get it'd be very stupid if he got a massive ban over it. But,
Bernardo got a huge fine, what he said, and a 1-match ban for comments he made to Mendy, his teammate. But I'll put another spin on it for you. Yeah, the two players, best of mates and stuff like that. However, as it set the racism thing in football back even further by players, putting those emojis on social network, to them two might be totally innocent. And by all accounts, in places like Argentina and stuff like that, it's their thing. It's their thing, like it was with Bernardo and stuff like that. We look at things different in this country. If it was me, I'd just be going, just two teammates, la-di-da-di-da. But unfortunately, you've got so many people now who think they can influence things. Like you've got City fans now calling for a ban and stuff like that. Now you've got all these Black Lives Matter people calling for a ban and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We need to be careful, because straight away you need to take politics and religion out of football and sport in general. Get them out. Never mix the two, because people go to football to get away from all that. They really, really do. Doesn't mean to say I don't back anti-racism and stuff like that, because I do. But now it's more than a game now. There's too many distractions.
Yeah, I completely agree, mate. I do really completely agree. But I was going to ask you as well quickly about Everton's possible points deduction. Obviously, City have apparently broken over 100 FFP rules. Now, if Everton are penalised, obviously, no one hears what's going on with Man City at the moment with your possible points deduction or punishment. But what are your actual thoughts on it, obviously, in just a quick briefing?
There's another mug I've created. 115 charges. One for us. Listen, it's a nonsense, mate. If they had had something on us, would have been charged now. Look how quickly they're charging Everton, and they've fined Everton, and it looks like a 12-point deduction.
Yeah.
No, if they'd have had something on us, mate, it'd have been done and dusted. And again, there's too many side distractions in football. You've got Tonali now, who's been banned for 10 months. You've got Ivan Toney, who served an 8-month ban.
Yeah.
Hypocritical, mate, because all these shirt sponsors now, Bet365 and Paddy Power, all these, even Newcastle have got, gambling sponsors. Brentford, is it something like Hollywood something or other?
Hollywood Studios, I think it is, or something like that.
It's a little bit hypocritical, and we've got to look at football. If they're trying to influence matches, we know what they're involved in. I get it, totally get it. Give them a ban.
Yeah.
If they're betting on other things, horse racing, which they're not allowed to do or anything like that, they're not allowed to bet. Full stop. Have the authorities for 1 minute gone? Something. It's an illness. It's an addiction. It's an illness. We need to sort of help these to try and educate people who are going through pretty much similar.
Yeah.
Banning them's not the answer, mate. If they're banning players, they need to say there's no gambling. No, you don't see Benson and Edges on shirts, do you? No. So get rid of the gambling. They won't get rid of the gambling sponsors, because it's all that.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
let's not be hypocritical and ban players because they're betting on the horses and stuff like that. Because get rid of the gambling sponsors then, because that's that way. Then you're not rubbing betting in anybody's nose who may be a little bit soft and they've got an addiction. Yeah, I tell you, mate, football, how we know it, has gone. It is gone.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Obviously, it is what it is now, but we still do love the sport, and we still do. Obviously, I left that comment up on there for Simon saying you're a sound lad, and obviously, and it's the first time we've been speaking face to face, and obviously, I've really enjoyed this chat. I really appreciate everyone who's tuned in tonight. It has been a very long show, and I appreciate everyone who's stuck with us. And remember to subscribe to Red Devils TV if you are new, and remember to also subscribe to MCFC the link is in the description. But Andy, you've been a great guest. Obviously, we've got your score prediction. Obviously,
if you're doing nothing on Sunday night at 7, mate, jump on ours if you want. For whatever, we don't know what the result is. Come and join us. We have a good laugh, good banter and stuff like that, mate. You're more than welcome to join us, buddy.
I'll definitely take you up on that offer.
Cool. I'll fire a link over. I'll DM you.
All right, pal. No worries. But anyway, thank you so much for everyone who's tuned in, and have a good night, everyone. See you later.